Hey everyone, welcome to Tip Tuesday. My name's Dan, and this is your tip for Tuesday, April 19th. And today, what I've got going on is a tip within Microsoft Teams that I discovered. Normally, when you're using a option at the very top of Teams to embed your video and doing like a newscaster or various choices here at the very top, reporter view. We've got a side-by-side view or a standout view. The standout view always puts you in the lower right of the slide. So for instance, if I have a PowerPoint up and my PowerPoint has critical information in the lower right of the slide, I'm covering it up. One thing that they've added now is the ability to resize what I'm seeing as the presenter. So here, this floating window here is only visible to me as the presenter, but I can make myself smaller to hopefully avoid causing information to be covered up. I can move myself too. So the more I move maybe to the actual corner, the less I might be disrupting. And I can also now move myself to the far left of the slides, hopefully avoiding any information that is really critical from being covered up. And with two monitors, I can move the secondary window, which shows what my presentation and what my video overlay look like, to a secondary monitor. The other choices I have are the side-by-side, where I can now control the video size of both me and the content that I'm sharing, and the position of my video and the content that I'm sharing. So I can have those separate in the side-by-side, and then the reporter with the over-the-shoulder, making it very large or smaller with me being larger, and adjusting the location of the information, which shoulder it is over the shoulder of. And based on where I'm standing, might be covering up portions of that or not covering up portions of that. And then with that secondary monitor, I can move this preview window to a secondary monitor, so I'm not covering up my presentation with my preview window. And in Teams, you can't see this preview window when you're sharing. So it's hidden from the view, even if you're on a single monitor, but it just allows you to preview. And I can do things like minimize it and then bring it back when I need to reference it here. If I go to my secondary monitor where I have all my screens, bring that back up to make maybe adjustments later in my presentation, size adjustments, whatever I might want to do. So if my video is more important than the message that I'm showing beside it, I can make those adjustments. And the nice thing about these new features within Teams is the overlays happen live, but from what I've seen so far, the video that's produced is still a separate screen and a separate video feed. So you don't have this overlay and any issues where you might be covering things up in the final items within Teams. And we can test that really quickly by going over to my Teams window here and kicking off a recording of this session. So if I go down to start recording in the three dots menu in the upper right, I'll go ahead and start recording this screen sharing. And then I can review that screen share later. I'm also turning on the live transcript functionality, which is under here and lets the transcription and this transcript be shown so that somebody who maybe is in a noisy environment can actually still participate by seeing what I'm saying, not just having to have the speakers available and the speakers turned up. Maybe they forgot a headset and they're in a common area. So lots of different features to be very inclusive with Microsoft Teams as well. So as we talked about the video options at the very top, and these are probably not visible in a Teams meeting from what I've found. So I've taken screenshots of these before for people that might be interested in seeing them. And so how you do that is the Windows key, the Shift, and the S. And what I can do with that combination of keys is highlight that top bar and then do things like go back over to my Teams chat. And if people haven't been able to see what I'm talking about, I can now Control V, a presenting strip at the top into the meeting as a graphic so people can see that piece that they're missing because we're in a Teams meeting and this bar at the top is only available to me. So the side-by-side view where I can adjust my graphic and the content that I'm sharing and the side that I'm using for it are available within this panel. And then if I'm doing the standout view, that puts me either in the lower right or the lower left now position. And then I can make my video larger, maybe taking up more of the screen and then just making an adjustment for where I am or where my camera puts me, or making myself smaller to hopefully avoid interference with my slides, my screen share, or whatever it might be. And the hope is that either the lower right or the lower left is where less important content exists within a screen application sharing or within a PowerPoint presentation. But if in the lower right you had your contact information instead of right in the middle of the slide, you'd be covering it up because it's in the lower right where my video is. So they added this position capability so that I can put myself down here in the lower left, where hopefully I'm less likely to interrupt if all of my slides maybe have information that's critical for contact or for additional information in the lower right. Same thing with the lower left. You wouldn't want to be in the lower left if that's where your contact was. So you can put yourself over here in the lower right. And either are options within Teams now and the sharing capabilities. Some of the other things that Teams is adding, and somebody, Ryan made me aware of this yesterday. I had not played around with it, but I was just looking at it today, is the capability within a Teams meeting. So I've got a custom streaming test meeting that I threw on my calendar, and I have a custom streaming app that I can add in now. It's in preview for Teams. And it looks like when I add that to a meeting, it allows me to search for the meeting. So I can look for my custom streaming meeting that I'm in right now. And then I can set up a tab. It looks like in the meeting itself. To work with this feature. So let's see if that shows up here. Meeting info, meeting notes, meeting options. Does it show up in the Teams window? Let's drag that to the secondary screen here. Just going to call it custom streaming preview. We're going to save that. There's the tab in my meeting window. And Let's see here. Might have to play around with that more here. I saw it show up and then I saw it disappear from my meeting. Let's try it one more time here. Add to a meeting. Glad you're here. It's adding it in. Sorry. There was something that flashed up with sorry. So I might have to try to capture that. And it might be that I'm actually in the meeting right now and I'm recording the meeting as well. So lots of things to play around with in Microsoft Teams as well as PowerPoint lately. In Microsoft PowerPoint, if you have not discovered it, there is a new capability. So if we go back to our PowerPoint that was open here or a new one, see if I can open our current one. Under the Insert menu, we have Cameo as a video option now in PowerPoint. And the video option in PowerPoint allows you to turn on your video camera. And the video camera that is turned on is controlled over here in the camera menu under preview. So I have 3 cameras that I could potentially try. And I believe I've got both of them in use right now because I've got the Life Cam used in, I think it's Restream, and then the Brio used in my Teams meeting. So theoretically, I'd have to turn off one of those places to embed the Cameo. And if you don't have that Cameo feature on the far right in Microsoft PowerPoint, you can get that by going to your update options off of your account in the backstage view. So File, Account in the lower left, and then sign up and put yourself into the Office Insider ring. And then from your update options, you should get the updates for Office. And those updates include this new feature called Cameo for PowerPoint, which is one of my favorite new things to play around with in PowerPoint, the app. And then I can also give Microsoft feedback right here to the right about those new features. So if I save this off, call this v1.2 for Tip Tuesday. We have looked at several things today. We've looked at the new custom streaming option within Teams, and I'm getting a message that I can't use it, probably because I'm recording my meeting. Let's test that theory here by stopping our recording. So in the same place that I found the recording option, I'll have the ability to stop the recording and then stop recording and transcription. So we'll turn that off in our meeting. Office is updating in the background. I'm taking all sorts of risks today for Tip Tuesday. There's my Office updates. Eventually, this will ask me to do things like close PowerPoint to make sure it's not running on my system. And then now that we have stopped the recording and the transcription, we could try that same thing again in Teams. We can go to the Apps window. Go up here to the upper left, search for custom streaming. and see if we can add it into our meeting that we're in. Set up a tab. I didn't see what it's flashing up there as, but it's part of the recording. So maybe I can stop the recording when it flashes up there to grab what the error message is. And then when I'm done custom streaming and sharing, I can turn this off either by just going back to a regular presentation where my video is fed in differently than my screen share to people attending the meeting. And the other thing I should now have is the recording of our meeting. So if I bring up that recording of our meeting, we can see how the recording was produced here, and you can see that my video was to the right. Sharing lets the transcription and this transcript be shown, so that somebody who may. So as we talked about the video options, so the video in the produced file, my video is always to a separate side, not embedded over or stand out. The different effects we had live are not part of the actual recording. They're just part of how you view it live when you're in the Teams meeting. So those are a couple tips for this Tuesday with Teams. Thanks for attending. Let's see, we've got a comment here. Is custom streaming different from screen share option on Teams? Yes, it's slightly different. So I'm in a meeting right now, and I'm also using Restream. So that's how I can show, like turning off the screen share and letting you see kind of the whole process here. Thanks for the comment. That's a great one. So within Teams itself, because I'm using Restream and I'm sharing my screen there, you can actually see the Teams window when I'm not sharing. So I click on share, and then sharing allows me to share either one of my monitors. I have two monitors. So this is the monitor that I'm presenting from. And then at the very top, the options for these different streaming capabilities or embedding your video are right at the top. So the standard, my screen with the video separated, if I have my video on, is available. And then as soon as I turn on one of the three custom options, I have the ability to do this embedding. And then I get a preview of what that's going to look like in the live meeting, where I'm located and how large I am. Now the custom streaming add-in, this is something that's in preview and I have not played around with just yet successfully. So custom streaming is in preview. And I could try to add that to the meeting, but it didn't look like it was successfully adding it to this meeting. What I could do, like I said, because I'm not using Teams currently, I'm using Restream, I could go ahead and open my share tray here. It's opening to my secondary monitor. Quit my meeting. And then look at what my options are for the custom streaming preview here. See if I can add it into one of my meetings that I had previously going on. Sorry, we've run into an issue. Try again. So I'm not sure exactly what that issue is. I have a Teams meeting demo that I did previously. So if I come down to the apps, search for custom streaming, that's how I find the preview for it. When I add it to a meeting, there are several meetings that are listed. This one had, it looks like breakout rooms. I did some testing of that recently. You can see I have room 2 as one of my meetings. And it looks like I'm just running into an issue with that right now. And that could be my Teams application needing update. It could be something with the preview. Haven't played around with it, just discovered it yesterday. No problem. Thanks for the question. And we should be, let me double check this, we should be live in several different places right now. That question came in through LinkedIn, so I am successfully live on my LinkedIn profile. And I can see that I'm live at the top. I also believe I'm live over on a couple locations in YouTube. We can see that it looks like I'm live. I didn't update my title to 1.2 successfully on one of my YouTube profiles for Tip Tuesday. I thought I did, but let's check if I got Tech Thursday added correctly or not. I think I added 2. I did. So I'm live there as well. And then I should be live over on my company page on LinkedIn. And then I think 2 Twitter accounts as well. And so maybe I didn't do my company page today, but I think I did both of my Twitter accounts. And the way this works in Restream is you can set up Restream to understand how to go live on multiple platforms at the same time. The benefit to this, if I can get logged in as these different accounts, let's see if I've got the ability to switch who I'm logged in as here. There we go. Is that the profiles of these different accounts might have different followers. They might be different people that have the connections with me. So I'm live on both DESA as well as Dan's Twitter. And this is a feature in Restream called pairing. So what I can do in a Restream, if I figure out a way to kind of block need to come up with a creative way to just block the portion where you're getting the inception of the video in the video. I have a invite guest link, and in that invite guest link, I also have the ability to allow my guests to add their own streams. So in the future, when we go live, I do have the ability to put in those different guest links. And yes, I would be happy to share my YouTube addresses in LinkedIn. They're pretty straightforward here. I just need to find my LinkedIn where I'm logged into LinkedIn. I think this might be one of the browsers that I'm logged in. So another thing I have not figured out is how to most easily put that information into make sure I'm muting this tab so we don't get sound. So I have 2 YouTube channels. And I believe I'm live on both of them today. And thank you for the comments. Appreciate it. So this is the Restream option to do pairs. Restream has pairs, and what I can do with those paired accounts is go ahead and allow them to add channels to this stream. And I see paired in the comments here. I wonder why that is. That's interesting. I hadn't seen that before either. So the second Dan V2, it might be that I'm logged in as a window as Dan V2 here. Let me double check if that's the case. No, it's over here that I'm logged in as Dan V2. And this is where I set up a couple of the other streaming locations. And then here in my account, I have all of the locations available. So that's how that works with the pairing capabilities. So thanks again, everyone, for being here live for Tip Tuesday. And I will see you hopefully on Tech Thursday live. We'll figure out when we're going live. I'll schedule that as an event. And we'll figure out what platforms we're using and if we have any guests. Have a great day, everyone.